interaction with cashew buyers is being chaired by an all-rounder and one of the most knowledgeable and experienced persons in the dry fruit industry in entire nation. Presently working as the director of International Fruit and Nut Organization, please put your hands up for Mr. Ravindra Mehta. Joining Mr. Mehta as speakers for this panel will be from ITC Foods Limited. We have the General Manager of Procurement, Mr. Unnikrishnan Vijayan. He, with over 17 years of experience in procurement and inbound supply chain management in FMCG, Mr. Unnikrishnan has extensive expertise in purchasing raw materials and packaging materials, managing logistics and strategic planning. Our next speaker this evening will be from Hyperpure by Zomato, Mr. Ankit Jha. Ankit Jha is the National Category Manager at Hyperpure by Zomato, based in Gurgaon, Haryana. With over 11 years of experience in this category management and procurement, he has held key roles at Ninja Kart, Elastic Run, and More Retail Private Limited. Moving on, our next speaker in this panel will be from Dev Trading Company, a two-decade-old experienced set of people in cashews industry, more specifically into all commercial grade cashew pieces or produces required for all food industry like hotel, restaurants, sweet makers, etc. Mr. Vijay Malpani is representing the Dev Trading Company, and he has been one of the biggest spokespersons about cashew, and the amount of time, energy and effort that he spends in promoting cashews is incredible. Our next speaker will be the Senior Procurement Manager, Britannia Industries, Mr. Sandeep De Silva. And now I would like to introduce to you somebody who has been a trailblazer as far as, the new product lines, and probably somebody who right now is very, very visible with his entrepreneurial skills. I'm talking about the founder of one of India's fastest rising brands, Happilo. Mr. Vikas Nahar, an Indian entrepreneur, has established himself in food industry. Founder of Happilo International Private Limited, known for offering high-quality dry fruits, nuts, seeds, dates, and many more. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to invite him on the stage and hear his dreams about this fun snack brand in the minds of people. I hand over this session to the session's chairperson. Once again, as you have just seen, Slido is there at your disposal for your questions to any of our speakers. This is your final knowledge session. Make the most of it. Leaving this session with Mr. Ravindra Mehta.
Thank you, AICA and Eventil, for this wonderful opportunity, and to chair one of the most distinguished panel today we have. It's worthwhile to have the two giants of Indian industry, FMCG industry, ITC and Britannia on the same table, along with our traditional buyers. Happilo, as you all know, is one of the leading brands on snacking commodities, who has put, with his constructed efforts, the dry fruit industry as a household name today. Along with them, we have our buyers from Jaipur, and Sumeet is not here. So probably we have a traditional buyer with us, Vinay, who will be taking care of the domestic market. The panel would be discussing the current scenario on consumption pattern, ways to grow consumption, as AICA's main role probably is to increase consumption and also see how we can double what Sandeep, my ex-colleague, said, that we've always been talking about number of 3.5 lakh tons, and that has been stagnant over a period of time. But we need to see how best we can understand the Indian market business models, and also hear from the experts at the distinguished panel what they foresee the markets and what changes they want to bring it into the Indian consumption, and also look at what AICA can help them to achieve their goals. Let me begin with an overview of the Indian market. But even before I begin, I just want to make few observations which I was able to grasp during the entire absorbing session today. I mean, this is my understanding, but it could be pertinent for us to understand the cashew market. Uh, we, as India, is low on RCN production, so probably we need to import. So our over dependence on imports is pretty high. So there are many geopolitical interventions into our production capacities. The kernel processing is pretty high. About, I think the figures which were shown were about 4,000 processing units across India, and every day the new processing units are mushrooming up. Uh, we are low on exports, extremely low on exports. The point is, do we actually need exports? I mean, with such a vibrant market, I mean, Indian market is paying you $100 extra, as Gunjan said. So, do we actually need exports? I mean, why are we harping on other markets when we have such a wonderful market back in India who's paying you premiums? You're getting your payments first, but then also, our obsession with exports is much higher. I mean, I can understand that probably you need exports to set off your currency outflows, but for that reasons, I think the biggest takeaway for me as an observer in the market is to grow more RCN into India. I mean, one of our panelists said we got what, 60 lakh acres of land available, which they have identified for growing RCN, and we are not able to grow RCN against 4,000 factories is a shame on us. I mean, I think AICA actually needs to focus on the growing part, and then offset that import possibility. We got a beautiful large domestic market which has been paying you well. So let's focus on the domestic buyers and the domestic market we have today. So I'll take you through a small presentation before we head to Ankit to give his little bit presentation on Zomato, which is again getting into a sector which is new to India. I mean, the Horeca segment. So we'll talk about the Ankit's presentation in few minutes. So this is our nuts and dry fruit basket. I think most of guys know. So cashew is predominantly the leader of the whole pack in India, with a consumption of over 350,000 ton stagnant consumption, which has been there, but it is still the leader. So that's the entire basket which India consumes in different quantities. On an overall industry purview, I mean, everybody knows, but still for the record purpose, we've got 140 million people consume. I would say 140 million consumers if we are able to make them consumers, and if we consider them as consumers. As Ashok, my ex-colleague from Olam, pointed out, that if every Indian consumes 5 nuts, probably the entire global nut production would be wiped off by India alone. How much that is true, I'm not sure, but still that is a point to ponder upon. Our economy is pretty vibrant, looking at a $5 trillion economy in the next 5 years. Our retail sector is growing phenomenally. We are over a 890 billion market. So our demand cycle is starting. We are this AICA has organized this at the perfect timing, where the demand cycle starts from 15th August till 26th January. So that we call it Jhande to Jhanda, in between both Independence Day and the Republic Day. So that is where the maximum consumption happens. The winters, the marriages, the festivals, everything happens between 15th August till 26th January. Holidays, obviously, which is one of the major part of our consumption. Now, the reasons for growth, everybody knows that the increased urbanization, exposure, disposable income are leading, and especially, COVID has been able to force us to eat much healthier food in the recent past. And cashew, almonds, and other nuts have made their way into each and everybody's home. From a luxury product, it is perceived that it has become a product of masses today. So online food deliveries, e-commerce, quick commerce, the organized retail sector, the thriving FMCG sectors have ensured that nuts and dry fruits become part of our appetite every day, whether through direct consumption or through any of the snacking item. And I think with uh, the biggest role of EQ and the organized retail I see is in creating visibility of the products, which was lacking by our industry. So health and immunity, have been the new taglines of our product marketing. And COVID, I mean, unfortunately, COVID happened, but it was fortunate for our industry when people realized that sitting at home you can't be eating momos or salads every day. So you require some kind of healthy food during those two odd years of sitting at home. So these are the markets in India post GST. Probably Delhi and Mumbai were the major markets. Now, you see the markets thriving all across India. And from Delhi to West Bengal, the markets, the mandis, the markets have created inroads. And that is where the availability and the visibility of the products have created incremental markets for us. This is important. This is where we come to understand that India amazingly consumes over 1.4 million tons of dry fruits, which is huge. 14 lakh tons of dry fruit India consumes, and people call it as a poor country. So, which is the dichotomy is that India, I mean, as the last panel was discussing, India gives you premium of $100 over export parity, and India is considered as a poor country. We eat mamras, which is about $5,000 a kg. We eat W180s, which are about 1,200 to 1,500 bucks kg. So where is the understanding that the markets are not conducive to high prices? It's a market worth $6.2 billion today in India, and the total market size is about $699 million. But the point is that value is a different proposition, but 1.4 million tons is what is an ever-growing market. So imagine just a small proportion of people who are probably eating. If we are able to convince each and every person in India to consume 3-4 nuts, you are actually in one of the best trades available. So these are the challenges. We are high value luxury products, unaffordable. That's the thought process. Low volume in terms of other staple commodities. Niche customer base. We need to increase the customer base. Fragile trust factor because of the quality. A person who's paying high prices has got a very fragile trust factor on this thing. Perceived quality. We don't know what to eat. I mean, we should eat because of its parameters, quality parameters, or we should eat because of its subjective looks or taste. Lack of product knowledge is where we are not able to impart understanding to the consumers that why cashews are good or bad. So now I would invite Ankit to first take over and give a small presentation, and then we take over the questions accordingly. Ankit.
So first of all, thank you everybody for giving me that opportunity to be here. I am National Category Manager of Dry Fruits from Hyperpure. I have total 8 years of experience only, not 11 years. So I'm pretty young in that sense. And if I have to briefly summarize about Hyperpure, it's a part of Zomato business. And we are specializing in HoReCa segments, B2B, and we supply to commercial kitchen. Anybody who has a commercial kitchen, we supply to them, and we supply all kinds of raw material and packaging material, be it fresh coriander to meat to dry fruits to rice, dal, atta, chini to cleaning solutions. Now, the scope of Hyperpure as on date is we are present in 8 different cities with roughly 11 warehouses, and Hyperpure becomes a very good proposition for restaurant because we offer first transparency, then your product. We have more than roughly now, I think so it's mentioned 4,000, but now the count has gone above 5,000 products. So everything is door delivered at their preferred time slot. Some guys would want at 6 in the morning, we do that. Some wants it late 8 or 10 in the night, we do that as well. So that's why what happens basically, this is my understanding, every business has a bottleneck, and we are just taking away that bottleneck, and we are in a way giving more time to our client to focus on their end consumer and taking the pain of bringing the material and sourcing to us. Now, this is the scale, barring the number of warehouses, rest everything has grown, and it is growing as we speak. Right now, we are present in more than 150 cities. I'll explain, that's a different project, but we have warehouses in 8 major cities. Then, one of the things that Hyperpure does is we procure, and by procurement, we understand the customer's demand. So there are certain products which customer wants as it is, we do that, and also the customization. That's why we become a preferred partner for our restaurant partner. And that includes fresh vegetable, then meat, and other stuff as well. So this is about our grading, sorting, which helps us to deliver quality product at the very least period of time, which goes and with minimal hands that interchange from farm to the end consumer. So this is the warehouse. So these are the different assortment. Some of them are not here, but we supply everything, and oils and dry fruits. I take care of just dry fruits here, and yeah. So one thing that we have recently started, we do customized product. As you can see, we have our own in-house brand of mayonnaise. We have our own R&D. We have our own in-house chefs, where we develop based on customers' demand, what they need, in what proportion, what recipe. We do that as well. So that makes the life of my customer, which is either the bakery or restaurant or sweet manufacturer, namkeen manufacturer, or ice cream manufacturer, very easy. This is again the in-house developed products that we have, either in fresh, frozen, with extended shelf life. And oh, sorry. So the previous slide mentioned 4 pieces, 4PL. 4PL services is basically for a business entity which has a lot of retail outlets. So we maintain their inventory, we maintain everything. They just have to focus on their customer, their sales. So there is that. These are our core values that we adhere to, and we have partnership with hotels, 5-star hotels, and other hotel chains. This is the key thing that I wanted to point out. So we have a project which is live in more than 150 cities. So there are 4 cities in India: Delhi, then Mumbai, Bangalore, and Kolkata. Through these cities, if some product is live, the product gets visibility in 150 cities, just like Amazon. For example, from Kolkata, I am supplying to Shillong as well. From Delhi, I am supplying to Jammu and Kashmir and all the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So that enables my customer in tier 2, tier 3 cities to get fresh produce at a very affordable rate. And this is first time that we have done in B2B Horeca, where we give express delivery within 4 hours. So let's say you had estimated a product to be sufficient for the day, but by afternoon it gets over. You place the order around 2 o'clock, by 6, 7 it gets delivered to you. This is kind of quick commerce within Horeca segment. These are our preferred, these are brands that we associate with. So yeah, I think so this is then. So overall, what we are trying to solve is the supply chain, the product, and any bottleneck that my customer faces, we try to solve it. And it involves certain times customization of product, especially when I'm, this is for the overall Hyperpure, but now I'm talking about dry fruits. I have clients who want specific grade of, let's say, cashew, especially the sweet merchants. So I do that as well. So that helps solve their problem, and in turn it creates stickiness with me. For example, there are certain customers which they have not changed their quality from last 2.5 years. They are still sticking to the same quality regardless of the price movement that we have recently. So this is the overall Hyperpure that I wanted to give you a little brief into. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankit. What a wonderful insight. One of the new commerce companies specifically focused on HoReCa segment. I think that link was missing, especially for the industry to service the HoReCa industry through a very reliable partner. So let me take this conversation forward and to our elite panelist. And what are your thoughts, Vinay, as on the current pricing and the market structure? Because you come from a traditional wholesale channel based out of Jaipur. How this increase in the prices from May till now, which has been very sudden and sharp, the buyers have taken into account?
थैंक यू सर. जैसे आपको मालूम, मैं हिंदी में बोलना ज़्यादा पसंद करता हूँ ताकि मेरी बात आगे की दिल के तक चल जाए. देखिए, मई से जून तक के अभी तक के प्राइस राइज से मुझे कोई बहुत ज़्यादा फ़र्क नहीं दिख रहा है. सेल्स बहुत बढ़िया हैं. ये जो टाइम पीरियड है जो हमने देखा है अप्रैल से लेकर के अभी तक जुलाई का, ये सबसे डल सीज़न होता है जुलाई काजू के सेल का. इस डल सीज़न में भी सेल्स सबके पास बहुत बढ़िया हैं. और अब जो सीज़न चालू होगा, जैसे कि अब आपने बोला, मैं भी हमेशा एक ही डायलॉग बोलता हूँ, झंडे से झंडा धंधा होता है. तो ये जो है, ये जो समय अभी जो चालू होएगा उसमें पता चल जाएगा. बाकी मुझे तो सेल्स अच्छी दिख रही है. सेल्स में कहीं से कोई कमी नहीं आएगी, ना होल्स में ना पीसेस में.
So it's a testimony that Indian customers are, or rather consumers are largely looking at good quality, irrespective of what the prices are, as a snacking commodity. You think, मतलब आज का जो भाव है 750-800 रुपए, I'm just अंदाजा ले रहा हूँ brokens का, that is acceptable to the buyers because they have also seen as low as 250 to 300 bucks per kg 4 टुकड़े का prices, I think 2-3 साल पहले. तो आज इतना जंप कंज्यूमर डाइजेस्ट कर पा रहा है.
बिल्कुल कर पा रहा है. देखिए क्या है, ये जो प्राइस का जो ज़्यादा मैटर आएगा वेडिंग सीजन्स के टाइम पे, जब केटरिंग का काम चालू होएगा. केटर हमेशा अपनी प्रॉफिट को देखता है, वो शिफ्ट कर लेता है मिठाइयों को. वो काजू कतली की जगह वो अपना जो मेन्यू के लिस्ट में हो सकता है बादाम कतली ऐड कर दे. लेकिन अभी का जो सीज़न अभी तक का है, दिवाली तक का, उसका टिकट साइज आप मान लीजिए, काजू का ज़्यादातर हाउस होल्ड में 250 ग्राम और आधा किलो का पैकेट बिकता है इंडिया के अंदर. तो उसमें कुछ फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता 50 रुपये ऊपर नीचे से. और जो काजू की कतली आदमी आधा किलो 1 किलो लेके जाता है, उसको कुछ फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता. हाँ, मैं एक चीज़ ज़रूर देख रहा हूँ कि मार्जिन अगर हम मिठाई वाले के एंड पे देखें तो उसका श्रिंक हुआ है. वो मान लीजिए आज जब 500 रुपये किलो जो काजू कतली के भाव थे, तब राजस्थान में एवरेज में काजू कतली का भाव 500 से लेकर के 750 रुपये पर केजी था. आज वो चीज़ बढ़ करके मात्र 850-900 अपर एंड में गई है. तो टुकड़ी के भाव ज़्यादा बढ़ गए, कतली के भाव कम बढ़े हैं. और काजू कतली के भाव आज बाकी मेट्रो सिटीज़ में देखेंगे तो 1000, 1100, 1200, 1400 ऑलरेडी बिक रहे हैं. तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि हम लोग के यहाँ पे भी कोई प्रॉब्लम आएगी, आराम से बिकेगा.
तो हमें लगता है कि काजू कतली का भाव अगर 800-850 रुपये किलो काजू का भाव हो, तो 1200-1300 रुपये, 1400 रुपये किलो तक काजू कतली बिक सकती है.
मेट्रोज में तो बिक सकती है, राजस्थान में भी बिक जाएगी.
राजस्थान में बिक रहा है. तो राजस्थान इज वन ऑफ द इमर्जिंग मार्केट. सो आई थिंक दैट्स वंडरफुल. सो Unni, what's your take as as one of the largest ingredient users of cashew, and also probably, if I'm not wrong, ITC is coming into the snacking of dry fruits. So what's your take on the current scenario, and how do you see the market in short term and long term basis based on the for the cashew consumption?
Yeah, so for the cashew, for the short term, see, the dependency is on how our bakery products are going to perform. So as far as bakery products are concerned, there is a growth, and average growth rate is in the range of around minimum in the range of 3% in terms of volume. Upper limit could be around 10-12% for the past couple of years. So our offtake of cashew has been increasing, but there is a caveat. When the prices go up, we cannot, cashew mostly goes into certain mass cookies. And when the prices goes up, margin pressures start. So then we have to look at how to bring down our cost. For the past 17, 18 years, what I have seen is that the percentage of cashew addition into the cookies have been going down. We all started with small white pieces, or maybe even splits were being used, visibly placed on the top of the cookies. Then it went on to addition of small white pieces being again cut further into 3 or 4 pieces and being added onto the dough. Then we all migrated to baby bits kind of sizing. Again, buying the processors who make those will buy a slightly better grade, chop it, color sort it, grade it, and supply to us. So this particular industry of bakery and confectionery, they are pretty price sensitive, and we have to protect our margins. We have been growing, and hence the cashew consumption also has been growing, but it may not be commensurate to the percentage increase in the volume which we have seen as an overall category. Because as cashew prices go up, we tinker with or we have to protect our margins, and we tinker with either with the grade which is being added or the percentage of addition into it. And something specific which I want to call out here is cashew is being added into these products to call it as a cashew product, not for any specific taste, flavoring or anything, because the flavors which go into these kind of products, bakery or confectionery, they're so strong that it masks anything which the cashew can impart into it, unless cashew is a major ingredient. So that's part one, that is about the mass products. All of us, a new trend for all of us which is catching up is getting into a clean labeling and also getting into super premium products. So in such cases, a lot of product development activities which I am aware of across industry, which is happening, is trying to use the superior grades into a extremely premium product for specific set of customers. Now, there are target customers segments wherein it is targeting people who are 40 plus in the metros, high income groups. So such kind of products are coming out. And one of the product which we have come out with, or the brand which we have come out is with Right Shift. It's a category of product which is catering to the ultra health sensitive customers. So that's happening. So in such case, then this price sensitivity will go off it's from a mass, it goes into a premium product. And in such cases, the ingredient price sensitivity will be much lesser. So the perspective which I wanted to bring is for the mass segment, cashew, of course, extremely price sensitive, but the segment is growing. To put it simply, I have had maybe 5 or 6 manufacturers of the smaller grades which I needed long back in 2000s. Now we have close to 25, 26 suppliers who are catering to our requirement. So our requirements have gone up. And people have set up, earlier it was skewed to specific geographies. These people who will chop the cashew and supply to us the specific grades were very much skewed to certain geographies. Now we have pan-India presence of units which can locally supply to us. So that's the overall trend.
Thank you, Unni. Sandeep, from Britannia's perspective, what's your take on the current pricing? And as the prices go up, it's a general understanding that the suppliers back out. They don't give you availability. So how do you tackle this price and availability issue? And how sustainable you think that these prices would be there in the coming days, especially when you're entering into a festival season with all geopolitical situations being favorable for India, and you think that the people are going to be spending quite a bit in the coming days. So what's your take on this thing?
I would probably echo what Unni just said. The market in which we operate is very price sensitive, and any sort of such volatility as you see in today's time for a business becomes very difficult to operate in. Having said that, in the short term, we don't see much of a concern, but in the long term, definitely there are changes which the organization would look at. So as Unni mentioned, there are cases wherein we have, while as prices keep going up, we can't take price increases and we end up eventually reducing the consumption of cashew into our products. So that's something which has been happening over the years. And it's kind of detrimental for us in a way. We face various other issues accompanying this kind of a reduction. We have been going to smaller size of cashews into our products to improve the visibility on the product while we reduce the consumption. We see a lot of foreign body contamination which keeps coming in, quality deteriorates, again not desirable. Uh, so we definitely uh, understand the situation in terms of the prices at this level uh, getting absorbed by the market in the short term, but in the long term definitely it's not sustainable for sure.
So would you
Okay.
think shifting from probably cashew to any other nut as an ingredient? I mean, would you
Yeah,
go in
so
for an experimentation?
if you were to compare an almond, the price volatility there is not much. The supply chain is kind of well established. Um, the problems on foreign body contamination, which I just spoke about, is kind of non-existent there because of the kind of supply chain that is there, and it is very robust. Uh, Price volatility is there, but not to the extent of what we see in cashew.
Got it.
So there is definitely a trend moving towards moving away from cashew, as I am talking right now. But uh, cashew, all said and done, there is a good amount of brand building which has happened around cashew. So going away from cashew is not a easier task. It's easier said than done. Uh, However, having said all these things, where I mean, any sort of price escalation doesn't help the industry. We are also looking at premiumization at our end. Okay, like I think Unni already touched upon it, wherein we are looking at some premium products in that incorporation of cashews, and there we are looking at innovations from the industry. So today it's all about using diced cashews, but we are also looking at coated products, how it can be incorporated into the bakery segment. That's an innovation we are looking up to the industry in terms of how do we get that into the product for us. There are various challenges that we face in terms of high acidity, in terms of high FFA. So there have been certain proposals which we have been working around on going for defatted cashew. Like probably almond industry does that de-oiling, and the almond is further made much more robust in terms of quality. So these kinds of things which we are already working upon, which obviously will help us premiumize. Obviously, we'll end up paying a good price. There are certain innovations which we are expecting from the industry in terms of when we go to diced. Unlike an almond, we don't get slices, right? There's not much of innovation happening there when it comes to cashews in terms of slivers. We don't get even sizes for that matter. When you go to premium end of the products, you need some kind of consistency on the sizes. So these are areas which we are working with the industry. But this is probably the next growth driver as we establish these brands, the premium brands, and that's where the volumes will start picking up. The Indian market, as we have always been talking about right now, is ready to pay a price. It's all about creating that proposition.
Excellent. So Indian market is ready to pay the price, subject to that we give them one of the best qualities available. I mean, as a consumer, if I would go and ask for a biscuit packet for whatever bucks, 10 bucks, 20 bucks, I would love to get the value of that. And the value as premiumization of cashew, the word in itself brings, is phenomenal. So getting into the festival season, because what's your take on the prices? I mean, you are the brand leader today in the Indian nut industry. You have brought dry fruits and nuts to every home with the Happy Low brand, with your exposure. Now, the prices, are they going to impact you? And do you think that, first of all, I mean, the second question is actually meant for you. Do you think that the consumption is skewed towards on the festival seasons, or or you have seen in the last 3-4 years that it's become a daily dose today? So what's your take on the pricing and the consumption pattern?
Yeah, thank you so much. The consumption was, always heavy in terms of starting August till say Holi, I can say till February, March. That's why we, as a brand, always focused on trying to do something out of the box and trying to innovate. We sponsored IPL couple of times to ensure that how can we drive consumption during the non-seasons as well, because in season you always have the demand there, but there is no utilization of factory resources, team, and all those things. So we wanted build that a brand affinity where consumption of dry fruits, snacks are there throughout the year. That's where the entire industry will also win, because there's more efficiency coming into the play. And I earlier conversations, I was hearing on the utilization of the ingredients, the like brokens and things. There will be not much impact for the people who are using very less quantity of the ingredient. Like if you take any cookie for that matter, the utilization of cashews will be say 1%, 2%, 5%. It will not be like 40-50%. So otherwise it's not viable for the market, because the market has to be massy. You have to price it at 10 rupee, 20 rupee. You will not be able to give say 50% of cashews in that. So you will be able to give 1, 2%, 5%. In that you have a 20%, 30% jump in the cost of raw material. Overall, the margins might decrease by 1 or 2%, but doesn't really impact the product per se. But for brands like us who actually play on snackification, flavoring, and creating your trail mixes, the consumption of dry fruits and primarily whole dry fruits is larger. So that's where the impact from the end consumer. The premium side of the customer might get impacted due to this, but I don't see the value-seeking customer who are using more as an ingredient. When you go to a restaurant, you use everybody uses the cashew gravy for their base. They might use little more less cashew or overall, but the pricing dynamics doesn't change largely because the consumption is very lower for them. 10-20% is what they maximum using in the base product. But I believe that definitely pricing will be a concern. But at this price, people will start comparing with other commodities like dry fruits and pistachios. And there was always myths around cashews being having cholesterol and all those things, which largely people have understood that it was largely a marketing done by other commodities. But cashew is perfectly good to consume and has zero cholesterol. But still people tend to have a conversation around that pistachio is available at this price, almonds at this price. So there might be 10-20% of customers moving away from the premium cashew products to say an almond or something like that. But overall, as a value, I think the category will tend to grow, and the consumption is growing. India is evolving. There is like spending power is there. Availability has increased a lot. Sales and distribution people are working on that. We will also launch smaller packs for people who can actually consume it on the go and things like that. So massive opportunity for the cashew industry per se, and it's a great work done by the association to get all the people here and try to see how we can take it a notch further. I think as a brand, we are very bullish on the category and cashew per se, and we believe irrespective of pricing, the growth will be there. And also, I believe the cashew prices was not in great parity over the years, right? Malab, it was there in the 500, 550 region, but you see a lot of cashew factories bearing the brand and bearing a lot of losses and all. So this is the time for the cashew days to make a lot of money as well. And maybe I think a good 600, 650 will be a great price to stabilize, and that should be a better price. I think 500, 550 is a wrong price for cashew industry as well.
Got it. Awesome. Awesome. Ankit, from the Horeca segment, have you seen any kind of a feedback, negative feedback on the pricing?
Yeah. So I'll break that into 4 parts. So my business is spread across India. So in West and South, I don't have price pushback, but definitely in North and East, especially in North. And there is a reason for that. So my clientele are mostly sweet manufacturers, and they are cashew heavy, like 70, 80, or even 90% of their total dry fruit purchase is cashew. And that too mainly it will be broken, that 4-piece to be very precise. Now, the pushback started coming in the month of May last week. So their point was because हमारा जो काजू कतली है, so दिल्ली में एवरेज प्राइस काजू कतली का 1000 है, 800 से 1000 है. तो अगर मैं 1000 का काजू कतली बना रहा हूँ, तो आप मुझे 780, 790 का काजू बेचोगे तो मैं कैसे बनाऊंगा? Obviously, we told them कि आपको रेट तो बढ़ाना पड़ेगा, and they increased also. But जो 1000 था वो 1200 हो गया, ठीक है? But then also they have their own challenge. If the market leaders of sweet manufacturers, they don't increase the prices, the regional or medium mid-sized business entity cannot. और ये जो price अभी चल रहा है वो unprecedented है. तो एक उनको डर भी है कि लेके फंस तो नहीं जाएंगे. So it's like they know the price is right, but they have never seen it. So willingness to accept that price is not there. And that is especially Delhi I'm talking about. Kolkata is even 2 steps behind in terms of price. East market. South, I have no problem. West, it's all sorted. And especially in cashew, I'm talking
Got
about.
it, got it. And you've seen any kind of, shift towards any other nut? I mean, asking for any other supplementary or...
So this I'm talking about, talking in perspective of mithai. So देखिए, काजू कतली north में heavy है, nothing can replace it, right? So people have tried. We have, I mean, there are clients who tried making barfi out of badam, but वो जो intrinsic nature होता है वो product का, it cannot be replicated. So काजू का जो टेक्सचर, जो फील और टच आएगा वो बादाम में कभी नहीं आ सकता, एंड वाइस वर्सा. तो उस चीज के कारण वो बहुत ज्यादा सक्सेसफुल नहीं हो पाया था. वी ट्राइड, दे आल्सो ट्राइड, बट देयर लाइक इसमें रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आ रहा है. हालांकि ये चीज है कि अगर काजू का रेट जिस हिसाब से अभी है, इट्स करेक्ट रेट, बट कंज्यूमर एज एंड मुझे अगर लेना होगा, इवन आई मीन मैं खुद ही सोच रहा हूँ इस बार काजू कतली तो स्किप ही कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि प्राइस इतना ज्यादा हो गया है. तो सिमिलरली बाकी लोग भी ऐसा सोच सकते हैं. तो वो एक प्रोसेस है जो है वो पशोपेश में है. बेसिकली दे आर इन
Got it.
स्टेज.
So prices are, the increase in the prices has been relative to last 2 months I'm talking. I mean, the industry would obviously argue that the prices were too low. Earlier they had fallen too low, but
Yeah,
now
they were
they are
too low.
relatively higher. So, people have short memories. And अरे अभी 2 महीने पहले तो हमने 400 का खरीदा था, अभी 800 का हो गया है. So that relative, they are thinking about this
Yeah,
thing.
so when I go and pitch, they show
So
me
we
the
got it.
bills. वो होता है, problem है.
So, last 2 decades have seen drastic changes in the consumer behavior, from a typical glucose biscuit, we have come to the premium biscuits, and now we are venturing into cookies. And the same way, earlier with the scoop and all, now we are getting into the packaged, branded nuts and dry fruits. So what is the reason that the consumption has been stagnant? I mean, as my other colleagues said, it's been always hovering around 3.5 lakh tons last 5 years, though we have seen new business models coming into picture. So what is the reason of it being stagnant? And, to begin with, Uni, what's your take on this thing?
Yeah, so when it comes to the mass segment grades, the 4 pieces, 2 pieces, splits and below, it's quite price sensitive. And maybe we can't push back the price increases at times, then we tinker with the dosage. So that could be one reason. The other reason, and it is not that it's absolutely flat. Food products, there is an increase. As I told you, mostly in the bakery and confectionery industry, around 3 to 10% increment year on year has been happening, depending on years, for the past 10 years or so. So the overall, either it is consumption is more or less stable, or it's marginally increasing, the smaller grades. When it comes to the wholes, you can see that there is all of a sudden a lot of big players have come into this wholes and branding it and selling it. Why? Because there is value over there. There is a market to be exploited over there. And that's why you see Happilo, Yoga Bar, Tata Consumer Products. Everybody is there with their own packing. So are most of the supermarket chains with their own in-house brands. So when we look at it, we find that for the premium grades, the whole grades, there is a market, and it's a growing market. Now, when it comes to the statistics, where it is around 3 to 3.5 lakh tons, we are stagnant between that. It is something which it doesn't logically, cannot be reasoned out that very properly. Maybe there could be issues with respect to specific years wherein you don't find that growth, but normal years you might find that growth. Something which I wanted to add pertaining to this year, the retail market, how it could perform, is certain trends which we are encouraging, trends which we are seeing. There is a bit of a incremental confidence in the rural markets with respect to their income. And you can see that most of the forecasts of FMCG sales, we see that the shift is happening, the growth shift is happening from urban to rural. Now that is enhanced by the fact that we are having rains, good rains all across India. And the rural market, it is looking for good agriculture production, which will bring in more cash flow into that market. So overall, it looks quite bright this year. Cashew prices, of course, going up will impact the domestic demand for the bigger whole grades. But there is a counterbalancing because of more income into the rural market, and probably rural. So when the rural market performs well, when there is more cash flow into that, it is a big boost to the entire economy. And the income levels and the businesses of various other small traders and businessmen also goes up. So in which case, most probably you will have a good amount of counterbalancing because of this with respect to our cashew demand also for the whole grades.
So talking about rural market, Vinay, आप कहाँ देखते हैं कि इस कंजम्पशन को या आपकी सेल को हम अगले 5-7 साल के अंदर 3.5 लाख से 7 लाख टन, 6 लाख टन, 5 लाख टन किस तरीके से ले जा सकते हैं, और होलसेल मार्केट का क्या पर्सपेक्टिव है आने वाले टाइम में, और आइका से आपकी क्या एक्सपेक्टेशन है, वो क्या कर सकते हैं कंजम्पशन को बढ़ाने के लिए?
सर पहले तो मैं 2-4 चीज़ें ऐड करना चाहूँगा, सब लर्नेड लोगों ने बोला है। तो देखिए, मैं कोई भी यहाँ पे मेरी बात को अदरवाइज ना लें, हम काजू को मासेस में ले जाना चाहते हैं। जैसे आपने बोला कि हर कोई अगर 5 पीस काजू खा लेगा तो रहेगा नहीं कुछ भी। देखिए, काजू एक प्रीमियम प्रोडक्ट है। किसी भी प्रीमियम चीज़ की इज्जत तब तक रहती है जब तक उसकी प्रीमियम मेंटेन रहती है। कोई भी व्यक्ति, आपने कहीं पे भी देखा कि चाहे आईटीसी हो चाहे ब्रिटानिया है, ये कभी पॉपुलर करते हुए मैदा बिस्किट, आटा बिस्किट या कुछ और कोई चीज़, काजू बिस्किट लिख करके, काजू चाहे उसमें 2% हो चाहे 1% हो, लेकिन काजू पे एपोस्ट्रोफी लगा करके बेचते हैं। कोई भी जो रेस्टोरेंट वाला है वो काजू करी बेचता है, वो ये नहीं लिखता नारियल बुरादा की ग्रेवी से बनी हुई हमारी सब्जी। क्यों? क्योंकि उसको वो एक प्रीमियम दिखाना है कि मैं काजू यूज़ कर रहा हूँ। मैं तो काजू को प्रीमियम रहने दीजिए, इसको 700 रहने दीजिए, चाहे 1000 रहने दीजिए। जब आप किसी के घर पे कोई गिफ्ट लेके जाते हैं तो आप क्या चीज़ लेके जाएंगे? छेने की बर्फ़ी या काजू की कतली?
गॉट इट।
तो वो जो एक जो उसकी जो इज्जत है ना, वो तब तक ही है जब तक उसकी वैल्यू है। किसी भी शादी के अंदर, आज गांव के, अगर मैं रूरल मार्केट की बात करूं, रूरल मार्केट राजस्थान के बारे में बता सकता हूं मैं, भरपूर बाजार है, भरपूर। वहाँ पे किसी भी कम्युनिटी की शादी के अंदर मिनिमम से मिनिमम 50 किलो, ऊपर से 400 किलो काजू की टुकड़ी यूज़ होती है। और वहाँ पे आप लोगों में से कितने जने राजस्थान की गांव की शादियाँ अटेंड करे हुए हैं? वहाँ पे मेला लगता है खाने के लिए, और सब्जी, पूड़ी सब्जी और काजू की कतली, ये फिक्स मेन्यू है। मेरे भाई के यहाँ पे अगर शादी में काजू की कतली बनी है तो मैं गुलाब जामुन नहीं बनाऊंगा। गांव में इज्जत पीपल के पेड़ों में बैठ करके मेरे को अपनी डाउन नहीं करानी।
Correct. So there's been a fundamental shift. I mean, I recall about 20 years back, people used to ask for mamra or komi giri in Rajasthan. Every house should have that badam katli to begin with. Now there's been a fundamental shift from badam barfi to kaju katli. So that's one good thing.
मैं कुछ और चीज़ ऐड करना चाहूँगा। जैसे हम लोग जो बात कर रहे हैं शिफ्ट की काजू कतली से बादाम कतली, यहाँ पे काफ़ी जने होंगे जो बादाम कतली बनने के प्रोसेस को समझते होंगे। अगर आपको 3 दिन के बाद बादाम की कतली बना के देनी है किसी को 1000 किलो, कितना टाइम, कितना लेबर, कितनी एनर्जी लगेगी? काजू की कतली अगले दिन बन के तैयार हो जाएगी। तो वो जो कंसेप्ट है, जो दिवाली के अंदर भी फैक्ट्रियों में जो बनता है, जिसके पास 1000, 1200, 1500 लेबर है, आज भी गाँव में काजू की टुकड़ी उनके फैक्ट्री में जाती है और वहाँ पे कतली बनती है। दिवाली में वही बटेगी साहब।
Awesome. So Rajasthan is one of the vibrant markets, it seems, that which has accepted cashew irrespective of prices, being a premium product.
और ग्रोथ बढ़ाने की बात जो हम लोग कर रहे हैं, उसके लिए मैं आइका से एक्सपेक्टेशंस वाली बात पे भी मैं साथ साथ उसको ऐड कर देता हूँ। सब मुझे नहीं लगता कि जो कंज्यूमर है, मैं मतलब अगर आम जनता की बात करें, जो हमसे भी लेके जाते हैं, उनको भी नहीं पता कि एसपी की ग्रेड को क्या क्या चीज़ में काम ले सकता है वो। क्या वो ग्रेवी में ले सकता है, बिस्किट में ले सकता है, मिठाई में ले सकता है, कुछ भी नहीं। ऐसे वर्कशॉप्स या ऐसे वीडियोस हर ग्रेड से रिलेटेड हमें शायद ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बनाने चाहिए और सर्कुलेट करने चाहिए कि किस ग्रेड की यूसेज कहाँ कहाँ हो सकती है, SWP की ग्रेड की यूसेज कहाँ कहाँ हो सकती है। लोग कंफ्यूज ही चलते हैं, क्या साहब ये इससे मेरी कतली बन जाएगी, क्या एस के ग्रेड से नहीं बनेगी, क्यों नहीं बनेगी, क्या कर सकता हूँ मैं इसकी ये बन जाएगी, या W400 से मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ, छिलका आ जाएगा तो क्या करूँगा मैं। तो उसके जब तक हम लोग उसको रास्ता नहीं बताएंगे तब तक सेल बढ़ेगी नहीं, और काजू की सेल कमर्शियल ही बढ़ेगी। साबुत जैसे W400 450 तक सब चीज़ की कतली बन रही है, तो हमको उस पर तो एम्फेसाइज करना ही पड़ेगा।
Because your take, how do we increase, how we actually double the consumption in the next 5 years?
I think doubling the consumption will take a lot of efforts from across the association, the processor, the brands, the manufacturers, and also we have to include the government bodies as well. If you see how USDA promotes their agricultural products, largely almonds and walnuts. If you see how walnut from California was not relevant 10 years back, today dominates the market with 60-70% market share. It's all because they consistently invest in influencers, creating awareness what's the goodness of the product instead of that. Cashew, for example, is one of the best nuts in the industry, which is so palatable. I have two lovely daughters. They only eat kaju katli for that matter. They don't touch any other sweets. So cashew in itself has a great taste. I know, but there have always been, negative marketing around it, and a lot of myths around it. So I think these AICA, should talk to government bodies as well, should connect with all the, brands like us, industries who are using them, and actually, how can we actually promote the goodness of cashews? I think that has been not spoken well, and still, if you ask any common consumer, आप जाके पूछो पे कैशू में कोलेस्ट्रॉल है क्या, वो बोलेगा हाँ है. तो we have to invest in actually educating the consumer. Once the consumer is educated on the goodness of cashews, if you see nowadays cranberries are getting so much of attention because they are being funded like that. If you see almond consumption is so high today because of the conscious efforts done by the boards across the ages. It's not that we have just overnight decided कि आज 5 बादाम सोख के सुबह खा लेंगे. It has been taught us, how do we do it. So we have to also take some use cases how cashew can be brought into day-to-day consumption. It should not only be a kaju katli event for us.
Correct.
How can it be made a regular consumption event for us? And for that, I think AICA is a great association along with other brands and peripheries, consumers and institutions and even the government bodies. How can we actually look at scaling it up? Awareness is the only reason. The influencer marketing, social media, and today people understand. People have money to pay. Maybe 20 years, 30 years before that was not the criteria. But today the incomes are there. You have to reach the right consumer with the right communication. I think awareness and education is very important, and that's where I think the industry will definitely double in the next 3 to 5 years.
So Rahul and team has got a humongous task of educating the consumers that it's not, if I'm not wrong, any nut which is grown on the tree is cholesterol free unless we do any value addition to it. But this message has to get passed on to the consumers. Sandeep, you've been in all the business supply chain segments, be it wholesale, retail, organized, e-commerce, quick commerce. So which is one of the most preferred business model from your perspective and also from consumers' perspective, especially for commodity or a premium commodity like cashew?
So, so the traditional channels are giving way as we talk, okay, and the reason is also, most of our launches today are happening around e-commerce, and we are doing it exclusive around e-commerce, modern trade, so that we can track the data, understand who are the consumers, what kind of segments are picking them up. So definitely there is a traction today, and again, like I told you, as we premiumize and we experiment with newer products before we scale them up, okay, we are looking at the selective channels first to test market, understand it, and then scale it up. So today it is used to that means, but it's maybe a matter of time before these channels take over completely.
Because you also have a presence in all these segments, and you actually started through organized retail. What's your take on where have you seen the maximum growth coming? Now you're probably also present in the general trade, if I'm not mistaken. So what's your take on?
So actually, when we started to selling on Amazon and Flipkart, the category actually didn't exist. It was largely clubbed in the grocery segment. So we were actually one of the pioneers to build that category presence per se, that dry fruit need a separate classification, and one of the first brands to launch there. Now, if you see the advent of quick commerce, it's the accessibility has increased, but still, India is a very mature market with a large presence of the offline trade, general trade, which has still 80-85% presence there. So all the channels will be equally responsible for the growth, and it will be there across the category. Even if you see for large brands, large MNCs, the contribution of e-commerce will be largely less than 10%, including modern trades. So I believe that the level playing field is there. It's only about how we can actually innovate in terms of how do we get consumers to try it at different times of the day. How can you be relevant to an 8 a.m. breakfast cereal? How can you be relevant for a 4 p.m. With the chai pakodas, and how can be also relevant for the 8 p.m. with your 8 p.m.s as well? So you have to track how can you be relevant for more time periods, and how can you actually generate innovative flavors. How can you actually make it a mix where the cost is actually little lower for the end consumer, but still maintain that premiumness with the goodness of cashews in it. And as far as channels, I think recently, I think quick commerce has been doing very well, and I think e-commerce was always there from the last 4-5 years, very relevant from the COVID times. So I believe a lot of opportunity to scale up there, and I think modern trade also is got little consolidated, but I think has actually grown well over the last couple of years. So firmly in favor of the growth of cashews as an industry, and I believe that the sky is the limit for the category per se.
Oni, your take on the business channels? As an ITC, you are there in multi segments.
Off late, it is e-com and modern trade. The focus is mostly on e-com and modern trade. Most of the, as Sandeep has mentioned, most of the launches are now getting focused around that channel as a primary channel to reach out to the customer. And dry fruits and nuts, most of us might be knowing that Yoga Bar is now gradually becoming a part of ITC. And there again, we have launched a lot of nuts in branded retail packs. Focus is absolutely on to the e-com. And that seems to be paying off. And e-com penetration also has been going up. Even in the rural areas, the e-com penetration is there. So it seems e-com is the best bet, followed by the modern trade.
Modern retail. Now, there's been, after post GST, we've seen emergence of all different kind of channels. But the traditional markets, wholesale, have started complaining, whenever we go to Khari Bavli or any other market, they keep complaining that now the suppliers are going directly to the buyers. They are bypassing the channels. So is there fear profounded? I mean, you think that wholesale markets will disintegrate, disseminate, or will they be part of the entire supply chain? मतलब wholesale वाले जो लोग हैं, वो मैं विनय के लिए सवाल है कि wholesale वाले लोग हैं, वो कहते हैं कि भाई आप e-commerce डायरेक्ट चले जाते हैं, हमको बाईपास कर देते हैं. जैसे पुराने जितने भी हलवाई थे वो सब आपसे लेते थे, ब्रिटानिया मार्केट से लेता था, ITC ब्रिटानिया लेते थे मार्केट से, अभी वो डायरेक्ट सप्लायर के पास जा रहे हैं. तो उनका बहुत शिकायत आता है होलसेल वालों का. तो क्या उनका डर सही है, या आपको अपने बिजनेस मॉडल को चेंज करना पड़ेगा रेलेवेंट रहने के लिए मार्केट में?
देखिए, अगर ये सिर्फ काजू से संबंधित सवाल है,
हाँ, मैं काजू से ही बात कर रहा हूँ फिलहाल. तो
मेरे ख्याल से सिर्फ काजू के होलसेल ट्रेडर जो सिर्फ काजू में डील करते हैं, ऐसे बहुत लिमिटेड हैं इंडिया के अंदर. ज़्यादातर ट्रेडर मल्टीपल ड्राई फ्रूट्स में डील करते हैं. उनकी दुकान पे आपको काजू, बादाम, पिस्ता, अखरोट सब मिलेगा. दूसरा सबसे बेसिक पॉइंट जो है कि वो होलसेलर आज भी वो पुरानी पद्धति से, जैसे पिताजी सिखा के गए थे, वैसे ही काम करना चाहते हैं. वो अपने को बदलना नहीं चाहते हैं. बहुत से लोग आज भी वही, मतलब पर्ची फटी काम ख़त्म, पैसा आया पर्ची फटी काम ख़त्म, उससे कम काम करना चाहते हैं. वो अब चलेगा नहीं. कोई भी आप जैसे किसी भी, मतलब कहीं पे भी जाएंगे तो आपको थोड़ा तो ऑर्गेनाइज और स्ट्रक्चर्ड होना पड़ेगा. जो अपने आप को बदलेगा वो चलेगा. अपडेट, अपग्रेड और जिंदा रहो. ये तो फिट
So
सर्वाइवल
traders
की
will
बात है।
remain relevant till the time they
Sir-
move with the times.
होलसेलर हमेशा रहेगा और होलसेलर की सेल के बगैर कुछ नहीं हो सकता। चाहे आप मान लीजिए कि काजू में जितने 26 ग्रेड हैं, ये 26 ग्रेड सारी की सारी लेने की ताकत सिर्फ होलसेलर में है, ना आप
Correct.
में, ना इनमें, ना इनमें, ना उनमें। ये सिर्फ एक होलसेलर ही है जो सारी ग्रेड ले सकता है और कोई नहीं ले सकता। तो होलसेलर को जिंदा रखेंगे तो सब कुछ होएगा।
Correct. So you need to, so the industry needs to take the note that wholesalers, the traditional markets, traditional mandis are part and parcel of your supply chain. These are the people who've been picking up the entire 26 grades irrespective of their profits and losses. So don't bypass them, and it's an advice to the mandi people also to become relevant, stay relevant. They need to change their business models in accordance with today's need. You know, when FSSI is coming up with the newer stringent rules on this category. अजीत, आपको ये जो बिजनेस आपका क्या खरीदना होता है लोकल मंडी से, या आप डायरेक्ट सप्लायर्स से लेते हैं? तो व्हाट आर द चैलेंजेस यू फेस फ्रॉम the mandis and from buying from direct suppliers? So we'll be just closing in 5 minutes kind of stuff. Oh, yeah, we'll do that. Sorry. Yeah.
Hello. I take majorly from processor, but पिछले 2 महीने में मैंने मंडी से उठाना स्टार्ट किया है फॉर ऑब्वियस रीजन कि रेट पुराना रेट था, अच्छे रेट्स में मिल रहे थे, but this is not a usual practice. But after doing it, now I see value in it. As sir said कि wholesaler का रहना जरूरी है, I agree. बट एक और चीज मैं बोलूंगा, जो सर ने बोला 26 ग्रेड कोई नहीं ले सकता, मैं 26 ग्रेड ले सकता हूँ। ठीक है, हाइपर प्योर ले सकता है और लेता है। बाकी अभी भी मुझे बेनिफिट मिलता है अगर मैं प्रोसेसर से लेता हूँ, बिकॉज मेरे लिए इजी हो जाता है कस्टमाइजेशन। बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं, डे टू डे एक्टिविटीज़ होती है, बहुत सारा प्रोडक्ट रिलेटेड कस्टमाइजेशन होता है, वो मेरे लिए इजी होता है, तो आई स्टिल प्रेफर दैट। बट अगर डील अच्छा मिले तो व्हाई नॉट, आई टेक फ्रॉम मार्केट एज वेल।
Got it. So any of the elite panelists would like to add anything on the subject we have discussed, so that we can go to the question and answers?
I would 2-3 पॉइंट है वो मैं रखना चाहूँगा। जैसे सर ने बोला था स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन ऑफ ग्रेड्स, तो एक्चुअली होल काजू तो फेयरली ग्रेडेड है, बट ब्रोकन में 26 तो मेरे ख्याल से कम, कहीं कहीं पे तो 60 ग्रेड भी है। तो देयर हैज टू बी अ मेथड टू द मैडनेस, पता ही नहीं चलता है। ये एक चीज़ है जो हमने डिस्कस किया, कैश्यू का बिजनेस डबल करने का। वो तभी हो सकता है जब होल्स का बिजनेस डबल से ज़्यादा हो, बिकॉज आज ही मैं बात कर रहा था, तो बिकॉज ऑफ न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी जो ब्रोकन का परसेंटेज है, इट इज़ रिड्यूसिंग नाउ। आई थिंक सो प्रसाद जी वाज टेलिंग इट वाज नाउ 25 और समथिंग ऑड %। तो मतलब होल्स का ज़्यादा है, तो वो वही होगा जो बर्मन सर ने बताया था, प्रीमियम करने से या स्नैक्स बनाने से, उसी से होगा। ये 2 पॉइंट था जो मैं ऐड करना चाह रहा था।
Thank you. So the headroom for growth is immense. The point is, are we ready to bring down the costs by increasing higher RCN production and giving them the best available products? So getting on to the question answer, because the question is for you, almond versus cashew, what is the sales proportion as a packaged snack in your brand, or whatever, or probably entire India?
See, typically, if we talk about snacking, I think cashew will be a better snack in terms of, if you talk about just the flavor perception, because the almond skin doesn't absorb the flavors. Cashew, it is more porous and more soft skin, so it is more flavorful. It actually adapts to the flavor of the product. So that's one of the goodness and the benefit from the industry. And almond on that is very thick skinned and very difficult actually. Other than the salted, other flavors actually don't go well in the salted almond category. And also I think there's one more thing why there's no innovation in terms of slivered and diced and all, because cashew is brittle in nature. You cannot actually do a slivered or a dice cut in that, it'll turn into powder. So I think that is one of the disadvantages there. But on the snacking side, it's an advantage because it's softer, it's more porous, and better absorption of flavors. And for us, I think cashew as a snack is better than compared to almonds.
Yeah, even on the overall basis, the cashew consumption in India is about 3.5 lakh tons, and almond consumption in India is about 200,000 tons. So it is almonds will always be a follower. I mean, it is our nut. It is the handcrafted nut. So it is our nut. It's a India nut, as somebody said. This question is actually to Sandeep and Unni. Are you ready to experiment on different products of cashews, or are you still going with the simple cashew biscuits? I mean, any other products are coming into that? I mean, are you getting into Kaju Katlis, the big companies, or no?
So staying within the biscuits portfolio, we are trying to do quite a lot. In fact, we are looking, I mentioned it previously as well, we are looking at caramelized coatings over the cashews. How do we gel that into the product, and various premium products, whether we are trying to create synergy between coconut biscuits and cashew biscuits, and those kinds of innovations are happening, okay, as we speak. And I also spoke about defatted cashew, how it can be incorporated into different innovations. So those are the things which are happening.
Okay. Vinay, this question is to you. Will the prices of, or will the demand of 400 W, 400 PW, FW will increase due to price rise होने की वजह से brokens में W 400 PW और FW की डिमांड बढ़ेगी?
Definitely बढ़ेगी.
अभी तो सब कुछ बिकेगा. Everything is selling. Why are you worried? I don't know.
सर टुकड़ी से नीचे जिस चीज से भी कतली बन सकती है सब बिकेगा.
Got it. So another question, what is the role of shelf life in improving reach of cashew for retail market? Because, and probably Unni, you can also answer this question on this thing.
I think shelf life is very critical. I think the cashew industry is blessed that the cashew is a pretty shelf-stable product. If it is processed well, not prone to infestation very easily, if it's packed well and stored well. I think, and that is one of the advantage where the cashew can actually be taken to the entire width and breadth of the country. I think, but initial stage cashew handling is very, very important. It's not processed well. The RCN quality is not good. Not stored well in the early stages might lead to infestation, and that is one of the risks. But if the initial things are done well, shelf life is good. I think 6 to 9 months, there's nothing actually to be worried about the shelf life of the product.
Just a follow-up on this before we get to Unni on the last thing. What's your perspective of the future market share of roasted / flavored cashew? And will that be relevant going forward in the snacking part? Because you are into branded, so.
Yeah, I think the market has to move there. When you talk about increasing consumption, then it cannot come from the plain vanilla nuts, right? You have to go towards flavored. That's when you will be able to tap multiple occasions. That can be part of multiple gifting baskets for you, and people want to just pick it off the shelves and eat it on the go as well. Because plain nuts typically good at home consumption, but when you're on the go, you want to eat something which is more appetizing. And that's where you can able to take share from say other branded snack market. Then you are actually competing with a lot of then the market is pretty big out there. You are competing with the Haldirams of the world to the Lays of the world. Then you have to be palatable in nature and also see how can you improve trips to the mouth. Like the consumption of the likes of smaller whole kernels will go up because it always matters how many trips to the mouth you are able to cater at a particular price point. So I think there will be challenges in terms of growing that flavored nut category, but that will be the way to go to increase the consumption and drive to the next level.
Only your take on two things. One is that increased shelf life, and any diversification will that help to sustain?
Yeah, so when it comes to with shelf life, we are not very much concerned about the holes. The holes have reasonably good amount of shelf life. It's quite stable. We are grappling with problems with respect to brokens to baby bits kind of sizes. Once it's processed, generally we have to use it within 15 days. Though we can declare a shelf life of 30 plus days, we find that the free fatty acid content, the rancidity goes up quite quickly within a period of 10 days or so. So if we have any kind of technology, so far we don't have anything beyond roasting. We have not seen anything which can arrest this or put a control to this. So we are looking for shelf stable lower grades, if that is available, then it resolves a lot of supply chain problems for the companies like us. With respect to, I had already indicated that we all are looking for clean labeling. And of course, cashew, somebody was mentioning that cashew has cholesterol and all. It's all, scientifically it's wrong. Any plant product doesn't have any kind of cholesterol. And you can see all the oils, all the vegetable oil vendors, they will put that sticker, 0 cholesterol. Because oil doesn't have any cholesterol. Vegetable, plant-based products doesn't have a cholesterol. Cholesterol is a sterol which gets, which is produced in the animal system. So when you have it, and if your body is inclined, your physiology is inclined to have cholesterol and high cholesterol, automatically you will have it, whether you have cashew or you have any other plant-based product. Really doesn't, it depends more on a person's body physiology and your makeup, whether you're going to have cholesterol or not. Of course, your lifestyle also has an impact. As a food product, most of the plant product or any of the plant-based food products doesn't give you cholesterol directly. That's second thing is coming to premiumization, etc., etc. So that is a way ahead. We know that, and a lot of research is going on. Whether we have a specific question, whether we are working on something like a Kaju Katli biscuit, may not be. But of course, nuts as a category has attracted the fascination of product development teams across branded packaged consumer food products. And most of the product development teams are working quite intensely on bringing out products around this nuts. So, and cashew, of course, is because cashew has a specific taste, which most of our panelists have earlier mentioned, and versatility of cashew is also quite good. So there is focus. Beyond that, I cannot disclose because there's something like more of a, unless the product is launched, we can't disclose it in an open forum. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Unfortunately, we are short of time. The bartenders are looking at us when to put the bottles on. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm elated to have such a wonderful panel today. Any questions? Yeah, please.
No, they're saying it's the last question on the screen.
Which one, sir?
Yes. Mr. Vinay Agarwal's question.
Cashew demand depends upon watermelon seeds, correct? So, is there a relation Kaju brokens ka?
डेफिनेटली है. हाँ, जैसे अभी मगध जब 800-850 रुपये हो गया था तो रेस्टोरेंट्स की ग्रेवी वाले काफ़ी जने शिफ्ट हो गए थे उसमें, लेकिन उसमें भी बहुत सारी कैटेगरी है, जरूरी नहीं सब कोई मगज काम में लेते हैं. जो काजू की ग्रेवी से बनाता है उसने उस समय बनाई थी और आज भी बना रहा है. अभी भी बीबी SWP वगैरह सस्ती मिल रही है. कुछ तो फर्क पड़ता है सिर्फ वो रेस्टोरेंट के ग्रेवी वाले एरिया में.
सर हमारे देश में PG काफ़ी रन होते हैं और काफ़ी लोग रेस्टोरेंट्स में खाना खाते हैं और वो काफ़ी सस्ता प्रोवाइड करते हैं खाना, तो उसमें जो उनको ग्रेवी है वो अच्छे से तो नहीं बनाएंगे, आप भी जानते हैं, उसमें काजू तो नहीं डालेंगे. तो इट्स डिपेंड्स ऑन द प्राइस भी आल्सो.
आज भी सर BB और SSP आता है
तो
आप उसको दे दो उनको.
यस
वो ले
सर,
लेते काम
SSP
में.
भी सर अगर हम बात करें तो नॉट SSP, इट्स कटिंग SSP.
सर थोड़ा तो शिफ्ट होएगा ही डेफिनेटली प्राइस में वहाँ पे, लेकिन बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है.
Okay,
thank you. Probably anything you can discuss offline. All the learned people from the industry will be present for the cocktail gala dinner. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It was wonderful chairing most informative session for the reasons. I mean, I never saw so many questions in any other session. I mean, just taking a cue out of this thing. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.